review. Book one, but it's all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. She is an international speaker and consultant with a specialized focus on leadership and scaling business, utilizing human behavior principles and strategic growth strategies. No other than Miss Carly Pepin.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome to Book 101, Miss Carly. And can you please introduce more about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm a business coach, and when I work with individuals, we focus definitely on the human behavior side as well as the business strategy side. Because I do know that leaders and leadership teams, they definitely are also people. And from the
Yes.
inside out, we also require inner work and not just the outer work as well, so that we can move forward, not just with, actions and goals and all these dynamics, but do it in a more inspiring and fulfilling way so that we don't get burnt out and we continue to get to show up and do what we love and love what we do.
Yes. People are people, as they said. Overcoming burnout and reigniting passion for your business. What are the key signs that a
Mhm.
business owners is experiencing burnout rather than just a normal stress?
Yeah, you'll want to start sort of disconnecting from the business. You'll want to start giving up on businesses. I had a client, they were doing quite well, a few $100,000 a month, and they wanted to just sell their business because they were burnt out. And ironically, it's like after we kind of worked on the burnout dynamic, I remember the phone call where it was actually like 4 sessions. It actually doesn't take that long to overcome burnout, but it was like 4 sessions in, and she just said, "I'm actually working harder now than I was before, but I'm not feeling burnt out," right? And so part of it is the business strategy dynamic, but there's a huge mental component in there as well. And if you can catch it, you can work on it, you can overcome it, and you can move forward. Some people stick with their businesses and some people still decide, and we find out in there that there might be something else that they would love to do. And then we start to figure out how we can delegate and replace them in the company so they can do something else as well. It's really quite fun.
Yes, fun
Mhm.
indeed. Lead with purpose, execute with precision, build your legacy. Can you explain this phrase on your website, Miss Carly?
Yeah, so when we think about leading with purpose, that is the thing again that's not going to burn you out. Because if something's truly meaningful to you, if you have that really deep why on what you're doing and why you're doing it, you're not going to get burnt out. If I made a list for you of all the things that you love the most and said you get to do that and you get to get paid for it, I would be like, does that sound tiring to you? And you would say, absolutely not. But if I gave you a list of all the stuff that you hate to do, right? And it's different for everyone. And I was like, you're going to get paid to do that. And you'll say, how much? You'll look at me and it's like, how much am I going to get paid? Because I don't even know if it's worth it. And that's the difference between leading with purpose and just doing it because of duty, right? So I really work with individuals to make sure we are leading with purpose because that is one of the most important things for the visionary, for the person at the helm, at the wheel, is to actually be inspired by what they're doing if you want to build a company that's going to, stand the test of time and leave a lasting impact. We don't sign up for companies, products, and services just because like someone on the top is like, I want to make money. We really sign up for them and are inspired by them also because of who they are and what they do. Elon Musk is a really great example. I remember when his Tesla stocks were really rising, and it was
Yes.
funny because I think any CFO or any person into finances who looked at the back end finance sheets that they have posted online, I looked at it and I was like, how is this company's stock rising so much? And I thought,
Yes.
oh, it's Elon Musk. So we also really sign up for inspiration. And when you're leading a company, you may not be looking to sign up all these people in the world for inspiration for your company. But if you want your employees to be inspired by the company and what you guys are doing, it's important for you to be inspired too.
Yes, I did read the book of Elon Musk by Walter Isaacson. Highly recommended, people. You will learn how Elon Musk pivot from, well, ashes. Very well said, Miss Carly, and thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. What are the most common causes of burnout that you see among business owners?
Yeah, so that definitely is when we're disconnected from what's meaningful to us. So it's just going to keep on going back to that. We run from a specific set of core values, things that are inspiring and meaningful to us. And when we're not doing things that are meaningful to us, it's exhausting, it's tiring. And you could think of anything, any boring task that you have to do during the day that you're like, this is one of those things that actually drains my energy. And that's because it's just simply not meaningful or inspiring to you. And the great thing about being a leader, a business owner, founder, entrepreneur is you have the opportunity again to delegate. And so, really learning about what your core values are, understanding what's important to you so that you can frame your life in the business, not just outside of the business, but in the business around doing what you love and delegating the rest to someone else who loves it to the same degree. Because, all those things that you hate, someone else on this planet loves. And it's like, hire them to do that so they
Yes,
can be inspired by their job and love what they do. So
true.
when I say like delegate what you don't want to do, I genuinely mean like delegate everything you don't want to do and focus on what's most inspiring to you within the company. Because that's also where your creative genius lies, where you'll have the most innovation. You'll be able to move the company forward to a greater degree.
Let's talk about the emotional journey. Can you share a personal experience of when you felt completely burnout in your business?
Yeah, I got really burnt out when I was trying to follow everyone else's rules on how to manage and run my company. So especially when you first start out in the coaching world, there's a significant quantity of courses and all these things and experts telling me what you need to do, what you should do, what you have to do to have a business. And I tried it all, and it wasn't. Not only was it not working, but I was just getting massively burnt out. So all these things that you guaranteed work, and everyone says it works, and it always works, and this and that, it just wasn't working for me. And what I realized is I wasn't doing things the way that fueled me the most. And so, of course, it wasn't going to work. Genuinely, I didn't want it to work because if it did work, I'd have to do that for the rest of my life. And that sounds awful. So, once I got real and once I got authentic with who I am and what's important to me, I started restructuring how I was running and growing my business based on what inspires me the most. And now, funny enough, it's like I am also working harder and I work longer hours, but it doesn't feel like it anymore. It doesn't feel like it because these are things that I genuinely enjoy. So now when I'm bored or I have like nothing to do at whatever period, even on weekends, sometimes I'm like, what do you want to do? I was like, kind of feel like working on my business a little bit. And I'll just sit on the couch on my computer because I like it, not because I
Yes,
have to, because I
I
like it.
like it.
And that's a huge difference. So before that, when I wasn't doing things that I liked, I got really burnt out really fast. And then I needed a break. I needed time away. And it's a huge difference as opposed to when I have time away, I'm like, I kind of want to work on this right
True,
now.
people. If you have the passion of what you're doing, even if you're tired, you have the your dedication to do it. So, what's the relationship between burnout and losing passion for what was once a beloved business?
Yeah, so you haven't actually lost passion for the business. What you've lost is the connection to what inspires you in it, right? And
Yes.
so we sometimes think that we lose that passion, but you at the core of who you are, it's very hard to shift like your core values, right? It's actually very challenging. So sometimes people come to me and they'll be like, "Oh, it shifted from this week to this week." And that's not true. You have a few core values, about 3 to 5 that you'll really focus on pretty heavily, and then after those core values, like you kind of ignore everything else, right? It's like if you go into a mall and you're with two people, and one person is going to notice something very specific about that mall, and the other person will notice something else very specific. And you'll be like, I didn't even notice that store. And that's just because it's not aligned with your core values, right? So you're only going to notice things within your core values. We have a filter for that. And so in the business, if you disconnect from what once fed the core values, what once inspired you the most, you're not going to like your business anymore. You're not going to want to do it anymore. And
Yes.
so this is that thing is like, again, when I'm working with like the founders and the owners, the first thing that we focus on is we focus on the vision of the company and we focus on the values of the owner. And because I want to make sure that you're showing up in the best possible form, not just the most inspired form. It's great to feel inspired, but also know that's where you're the most magnetizing, right? It's like people want to sign up. They want to sign up for your mission and your vision when you're walking around and you're inspired. You're a better leader. You're more emotionally stable in that state, right? You make better decisions, you make more objective decisions. And so that's why it's so important. And I talk about it so much and all the time because there's so many other things that flow into having that inspiration. Because when you're in desperation and burnt out, you'll notice you're tired, you're exhausted, you're not able to get out of bed. Sometimes it's like you don't even want to get out of bed and go to work. You can't wait to leave, you're shorter, you're more impatient with people, you're making decisions like in ways sometimes you don't even know like which way to go. You're like, I don't even know which way to go. And then you make a decision and it's the wrong decision, right? Because you're not in your objective center. So that's why it's so important. It's like when you do feel that disconnect from the business, it's coming back to yourself first, remembering who you are, remembering what your core values are, what's important to you, and then reintegrating back into the business in a more inspiring and fulfilling way.
Miss Carly, as an international speaker and consultant, what are your short-term and long-term goals?
Yeah. So, I mean, short term, I have plenty of short term goals with my business. I love my business. So I'm growing it on a regular basis because I like to see, what you can do with it and where you can go and people you can meet and stuff. And I have very specific clients I like to reach out to. And if you hear from me and I reached out to you, I've probably done some research on you and you did things or said things that genuinely like inspired me a lot. And I might seem a little creepy because I am a human behavior specialist. So I checked you out. But yeah, I really am inspired to work with more people that genuinely inspire me, that are on a mission, they have a vision and they want to make an impact in the world, And long term, I just think of like I have multiple ways. Coaching is one platform and helping businesses is like one platform to just help make an impact in the world and like just make a difference and reach people and just help people, And it's like there's other forms and other ways that I'd love to just like help people and make an impact in their lives. And there's really so many ways you can do it. So again, it's like what inspires you the most. And the short and long term plans basically all go around that. Yeah.
Yes. Good luck to your goals, Miss Carly, and looking forward for more success. And what will be your piece of advice for those people who want to be, of course, like you?
Don't be like me. Go be yourself. And be a
Be
sinker as
yourself. Yes.
invitation is suicide. Go be yourself and figure out who you are. And then we'll just like hang out and talk about life in an inspiring way. Cause I don't want anyone to be like me. I want everyone to be like themselves.
Yes, definitely. And can you please recommend the books that influence your journey?
Yeah, so I have so many books that have influenced my journey. I am an avid reader. I love reading, and I think depending on what you'd love to focus on, I like to think about like going back to like the masters and stuff. Like I quoted Ralph Waldo Emerson because I really love Emerson. It's like a really beautiful insight of understanding like how our world functions and how things work. Compensation's a really cool book. It's just all about like basically fair exchange in our world and our universe, and we can't ever get rid of it. That one's really cool, and fair exchange goes right into business, right? And then business wise, like Jim Collins has some great books. The E Myth books are great books as well. And yeah, there's so many good books. I feel like
Lots.
you could go for days and days. I'm
Yes.
about to read The Book of Wealth, which was referred to me by a friend. And it's a little bit hard to find, but you can like I think if someone has like you download it online because the old if you get like original copies they sell for a lot, but you could download PDFs and stuff and read it. But it's basically like about individuals who have created like legacy dynamics. Like they're building things to create a legacy, right? Like, how do you build a city? How do you build things that are genuinely life changing? And I'm actually really, really looking forward to starting that one. So I'm going to refer that one even before I even read it because it came from a massively trusted source. And even skimming through it, I was like, this is good, man. This is so good.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. Thank you for that recommended books, Miss Carly. And how can business owners build more joy and fulfillment into their daily operations?
Yeah, so definitely like one part if you go on my website, it's great. I have a values assessment for yourself there. So understand yourself because I talked a lot about your own core values. Understand yourself, really understand who you are and understand like how to get into businesses and really be able to do what you love to do in a business, right? So if I look at your value system on your core values and it says that you love family, I know that in a business you're going to be really focused on team building. It's just under the tools and tips sections. You're going to be like focused on team building, you're going to be focused on leadership dynamics and building leaders because that type of connection is really valuable to you, right? And if you love finances, you're going to be more on the financial sector side, right? And so it's really important like understand who you are, understand what you love. If there's some dynamic of leadership you love, if you love speaking, you're probably going to be the person on the forefront of the company, right? You'll be the face of the company. So definitely do that core values assessment. It's just under the tools and tips on my website, and then you can get a greater idea of who you are. And then the other thing to have fun with is, when we tackle challenges in businesses, our business is like, it's just like us. We talk about when we have challenges and we can look decades before and say, well, now I see that this happened to me because I wouldn't be where I am today without this challenge, right? So
Yes.
basically, let's move that needle a little bit faster. Instead of waiting decades to get the lesson, just like I apply it in like the personal development dynamic, we apply it to the business as well. If something's happening and there's a genuine shit show in your business, I actually want you to start looking at the benefits of why it's occurring, because that's also going to show you the root causes and like what's going on, like why it originated. Because when you start to see all the things that you're doing as a result of having this challenge, you're going to realize, wow, we had this huge gap. I was actually blind to this gap, but now that we're starting to cover this gap because this huge challenge came forward, our business is really growing in like the exact way that I wanted it to. It's amazing when this occurs, when you just ask different quality questions. And then it becomes a bit more fun because you realize all these things aren't happening to you, they're happening for you, and that changes the energy of how you approach it. And again, it gets you more objective, so you'll come up with more strategies and solutions to get to the other side.
Definitely
Mhm.
beautifully, beautifully articulated, Miss Carly. And tell us about your podcast built for this.
Yeah, so this is actually launching in the next few months. So I'm just starting my first initial recordings for it, but I'm really looking forward to it because it's gonna be a mixture of basically, we're all what we don't realize is there's a gap between our knowing and understanding of why we truly have businesses, right? But we have our
Yes.
businesses, yeah, for such specific reasons, like people who felt
True.
like they didn't have a voice. Oprah's one of them. She felt like she didn't have a voice. And what does she do now? She brings a voice to people worldwide, and she's one of the best
Yes.
at it, right? And so
Yes.
she was literally built for that job, right? So in this one we're going to talk about those dynamics from real business owners and real founders and entrepreneurs of how they were actually built for this dynamic, because I want more people to understand and get the insights on why they're actually created for what they do so they can connect to their deeper why, while simultaneously getting into some really solid business strategies. So that's really fun too, because we'll take some deep dives, and we'll talk to people about like the things that they've gone through and how they've overcome it. But we'll get into a bit more detail because I really love detail. So I'm really looking forward
Yes.
to bringing the audience some extra detail on business strategy. So we'll do some of the personal development and business dynamic in this one.
Looking forward for your podcast, Miss Carly, and hoping for more success. What limiting belief often keep entrepreneurs stuck in burnout cycles?
Yeah, when they start to get stuck in these cycles in the sense that it's like the limiting belief is that you have to stop doing everything, and they just think that now we're done. Like I'm burnt out, so this is just not the thing for me anymore. And it might not be. That's not inaccurate, but here's the thing, like, I had someone who got burnt out, and I didn't get to them before they quit, right? Before they sold their company and, well, actually didn't sell their company, before they stepped away from it, and ironically, they got pushed back into the company after retirement, but when we were talking about some of the drawbacks of retirement, they were bored, they were frustrated, gained a ton of weight, and they were like, "I actually didn't know what to do," and now that they're back in the company, they have meaning and purpose. And so this is like that dynamic. We think that when we get burnt out, we have to leave. But ironically, you might not have to leave. Like it just might be that there are some misperceptions about what's going on, and you didn't have the link to what was truly valuable to you. Because now that that individual has the link, they've been back in the company for a few years and the burnout's gone. So what? Is that magic? No, they just had that link. They finally understood what they were doing and the greater mission and message behind it, which is quite inspiring because then You're waking up every day and you have a purpose, right? As opposed to just waking up every day and going through daily tasks. Don't turn yourself into an employee in your own company. Make sure that you're focused on what matters most and give your employees the benefit of the doubt. Understand what's important to them and find jobs that align with their values, with what's important to them, not just their values, but also like their background, right? We have their resume and their background, but then you can also see, like you'll notice, one of our clients, when my husband and I were doing workshops, he was really cool. He works at a big telecommunications, huge telecommunications company. And
Mhm.
they were great at identifying what was important to him because he did show up and he would work diligently and he was a hard worker, but he thrived when they paid attention to how much he loved personal development. And he built a whole department just around employee growth, you know?
Wow.
And so part of the culture of that company was also nurturing like the genius within the employees. And as a result, like he's basically expanding that to a 10x degree within that company, right? So it's not just about you, but when you get inspired, you're able to pass that on to others to a greater degree as well. And they help your company thrive.
Definitely, yes. Totally empowering answer. Miss Carly, what daily mindset? Yes, what daily mindset practices help maintain passion for business long term?
Yeah, again, just making sure that you have certainty on what those core values are and like just so much certainty because it's so much easier to say yes and no to things. You know, I was just kind of rehashing this with a friend in my mastermind today because I had this opportunity that, came with some challenges in a sense, and challenges are great, but I was like, these challenges actually go against my long-term mission. And I thought to myself, I don't really want to do this, and it didn't take me long. It took me like a week to just be like, I don't want this. This is a great opportunity. People have a great opportunity to do it, but for me long term, it's a hard no, right? And it's interesting because a decision like that, some of the other people I know who are stuck in that decision, they're waiting a whole year to figure it out, right? And so what's the
Yes.
difference? I'm not better at making decisions, but I have clarity on who I am and where I'm going. And because I have that clarity and I keep refining it and making sure I'm connected to it on a daily basis, guess what happens? When a big decision comes in, I can easily say yes or know which direction to go faster. So, just huge mindset tip is just know who you are, get clear on where you're going, and not just clear like I have this goal and it sounds cool, but like when I talk about truly where I'm going and what I'm doing, I will cry. Like I'll cry because it's so inspiring to me. Find the things that are so inspiring to you that you don't want to give up on it. So then when these opportunities come in that have hidden challenges that will take you away from it, you immediately see it and you're like, "No, I'm not going to do this." And that'll help keep you more grounded too and centered because then you're staying on track for your own personal mission. And everyone has a mission on this planet. Whether or not you've seen it, not an issue. You still have it. You just haven't become aware of it yet.
Definitely. And Miss Carly, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to listen to my other podcast, people, my other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season. Abstract poetry in second season, and book 101 review in fifth season too. Comedy 101 in second season, and my food 101 in fifth season as well. Geography 101 in fourth season, and my baby podcast Law 101 and mental health 101. Love letters in third season, and Movie 101 review and Music 101 in fourth season, and Science 101 and Sex 101 in each first season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. Miss Carly, what is your most important piece of advice for entrepreneurs who want to sustain their passion of years to come?
Yeah, make sure that you stay connected with yourself. Again, envy is ignorance, imitation is suicide. So if you're going out and you get lost and you get off track because you're going and trying to emulate someone else that you've put on a pedestal, you subordinate to them, you think they're better than you. And any if you even answer the question of if you could be anyone in the world, who would you want to be? And you don't say yourself, you're missing out, man. You're 100% missing out. And I just want you
Definitely.
yeah, I just want you to say yourself. So if you're not certain on that yet, that means that you're out there and you're subordinating to someone else's ideals, someone else's rules and regulations, someone else's perceptions of how your life should look. And I would love for you to just continue to work on yourself, gather that awareness, stay authentic and true to who you are, because the more that you do that, the less that you're going to get disconnected from that purpose and that inspiration from within.
Miss Carly Pepin, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So can you please invite our listeners to support your upcoming podcast, your advocacy, or any projects that you're doing right now?
Yeah, head on over to the website. You could sign up for the email newsletter so I can alert you on the new podcast. And I have all the fun freebies on there too. So you can find out core values and
Yes.
get some insights.
Lots of giveaway, people. So, people, let's support Miss Carly Pepin because if you support her, for sure, more and more empowering advocacy to come. So, Miss Carly, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
More to come, people. See you soon.